Welcome to the Contrarians, where we are right and you are wrong. I'm Julio.
And I'm Alex. Here on the show, we rage against the Rotten Tomatoes machine. For the first half of each episode, Contrarians Corner, we trash the fresh red tomatoes and praise the rotten green splotches, making our case any way we can.
The aptly titled Real Talk serves as the second half of each episode. This is where we discuss our true feelings on the movie we're covering. For more information on our podcast and to browse past episodes, you can head over to our website, wearethecontrarians.com.
From there, you can also access our Patreon and merchandise, because capitalism.
If you enjoy our attempts at comedic film discussions, we encourage you to subscribe and leave us a review on whatever podcatcher you use.
If you'd like to reach out to us directly, that's what social media is for. You can find us on most platforms as @ContrarianPrime.
You can also see what we look like if you go to youtube.com/@ContrarianPrime, and you can contact us by email at wearethecontrarians@gmail.com.
I think that covers it.
Then it's time for the podcast. And we are recording for Contrarians Corner for 52 Pickup.
Entry number 2 in From the Bedroom to the Box Office, as we continue on our summer adventure here of discussing the exploits of pornographic actors and actresses in the world of mainstream Hollywood cinema. Here today, as Julio mentioned, to talk about 52 Pickup, a movie that prior to this project, Julio, neither of us had any real knowledge of, and coming into it, we're a bit surprised to learn we had no knowledge of it, considering the players involved, not just Roy Scheider and Anne Margaret, but it's a fucking John Frankenheimer movie based on an Elmore Leonard novel. So all the parts were here for an interesting time. And Julio, I think it's fair to say an interesting time was had with this film.
I think that's what you can say at the very least with any project that's based on an Elmore Leonard novel. The big surprise for me, Alex, and I'm sure it was for you too and most listeners, was knowing that Roy Scheider once was a porn star, and then he made the transition to movies that are not porn successfully. No, I'm kidding. I have two candidates as far as like who the porn star in this movie is, and I'm sure that you will tell me when you think the time is right. But I know it's none of the protagonists, unlike our previous episode.
Correct. And for those, if this is your first entry or first time with the Contrarians, first of all, thank you. But also in the B2B series this summer, the first entry was the David Cronenberg 70s horror film Rabid, starring Marilyn Chambers. Yes, none of the main players involved in this movie dabbled, at least notably, in the worlds of pornography.
Noticeably.
Roy Scheider was a bad motherfucker, so who knows, man. We are deeply entrenched in the excess and sleaze of not just the 1980s in American culture, but also in filmmaking, and it is on full display here. The poster, his wife, his mistress, his career, a deadly trap, and we see Roy Scheider with his piece, Vertical.
That poster looks like his James Bond audition.
It's true. Described as a neo-noir crime film, did not set the world on fire. In fact, it was a flop in its time. Interestingly enough, there are some like recently dated pieces I found in my research of this where there appears to be kind of in the past few years a groundswell of support of this movie. And contemporaneously, I don't know if you've pulled his review, Roger Ebert was very high on this movie. But as of today, Julio sits at a fairly meager, rotten 58% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, not a whole lot of reviews either, 19 reviews. And yes, one of those is Ebert's. That quote is for Real Talk when we read some positive reviews. But here I pulled 3 rottens. And I don't know, Alex. I would like to think that any Elmore Leonard adaptation would make enough of a splash where you would have at minimum 50 people reviewing it. And I know this is the 80s, so Rotten Tomatoes was not the way that it is now, right? But still, especially if you're telling me that there's a resurgence in interest in this movie, then that is not being reflected on the Rotten Tomatoes page. Because even when you look at the popcorn meter, 48%, so the popcorn is on its side, and only 500 ratings. Maybe this is the last step, Alex. This episode is the final push to get 52 Pickup to be revisited and re-examined by critics seriously. And by seriously, I mean by posting a review on Rotten Tomatoes. But are you ready for some rotten quotes?
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to start with Scott Weinberg from efilmcritic.com, who says, overbaked, underfed Elmore Leonard adaptation. Underfed?
I don't know about that.
Need a protein shake or two?
Some appetizers.
Yeah, there you go. Just Frankenheimer order from the dollar menu for this movie. Josh Larson from Larson on Film says, may very well suffer from mismatched sensibilities. All right, so he has to be talking about the pairing of Leonard and Frankenheimer, which, why would you say that? Frankenheimer, famously, notoriously revisited in the Contrarians whenever we did our Reindeer Games episode. But he's done a few other things that I've seen that are crime-related. Do you ever watch Running? I know that I brought it up before because I know I've seen it.
Ronin? No, I have not.
So that's Robert De Niro playing a mercenary, I think. And he gets involved with a gang of people. I think Jean Reno is one of them. And maybe Natasha McElhone. But anyway, it's just like an action movie, well shot. And I think the big thing was that it was directed by John Frankenheimer. And it has some wild car chases. I think the DVD menu, when you're just waiting for you to make a selection, was just one of those car chases playing on a loop. I was like, all right, I guess that's what they're selling you. So I think Frankenheimer, I think crime. I think Elmore Leonard, I think crime. We did Get Shorty. We did Be Cool on the show. We on the Patreon, we talked about, I don't remember the name, but it's a movie that ended up being a prequel, an unofficial prequel to Jackie Brown. So I would think that, at least on paper, this is a good match. There's not mismatched sensibilities.
No, you're exactly right.
So what's wrong with Josh Larson? What did he want? Who did he want directing this movie? Steven Spielberg? Steven Soderbergh?
That could work with the massive ensemble we're dealing with here.
Yeah. I mean, Soderbergh's done some Elmore Leonard. Out of Sight is an Elmore Leonard novel. It's maybe Soderbergh's best. Still, can't all be Soderbergh. You have to let other people play in the sandbox.
Yeah.
Like John Frankenheimer. Speaking of which, Paul Atanasio from the Washington Post says, John Frankenheimer has directed 52 Pickup in a style so devoid of nuance, the movie almost watches itself.
What?
I don't know
what
an
that asshole.
Paul Atanasio wanted the subtle, full of subtext take on 52 Pickup. No nudity, no violence, all psychological. Just staring matches between Roy Scheider and the three people that are harassing him. I don't know, man. I think that the fun of this movie is that there's no nuance. And I don't know what it means when he says that the movie almost watches itself.
That makes no sense to me. No.
Paul Ignacio, was it a typo? Let us know. This was written 26 years ago, so maybe he doesn't remember. But those are the quotes. Alex, let's go to Contrarians Corner.
Man, you got fucking rocks in your head. Let yourself get put on film like that? I mean, as you can see, it's just plain fucking dumb.
First, quickly want to call out here that this is the second film adaptation of 52 Pickup by Elmore Leonard, the previous being a J. Lee Thompson film from 1984 titled The Ambassador. So this movie had been attempted before.
Who is The Ambassador?
Let's see, who's in this movie? Robert Mitchum, Ellen Burstyn, Rock Hudson, my God, Fabio Testi, and the Doc himself, Donald Pleasance, is in there.
Sold.
Doc plays an Israeli defense minister. Ooh. For our purposes, though, in this adaptation, our lead is Roy Scheider, who is Harry Mitchell, a successful construction magnate living in Los Angeles, whose wife Barbara, this is Anne Margaret, is running for city council. One day, Harry is confronted by three hooded blackmailers who demand $105,000 per year for a videotape of him and his mistress, a young stripper named Cinny. Because his wife's political aspirations, he can't go to the police. However, guilt eventually drives him to confess, and she kicks him out of their bedroom. So this takes us probably about the first 20 minutes of the movie. A lot to unpack here, not the least of which, Julio, is just kind of that Austin Powers joke of $105,000 is a hell of a lot of money to you and me, but like for what's on the line here now, and we live in this time of, just endless billionaires and millionaires and it's just kind of a funny round number that comes out, because to you and me, that's like an obtainable like number. Again, it's a lot of money, but I just love the idea that in here, Roy Scheider's like, what are you, crazy? You can't go to the bank and get that kind of money.
Now that's what we spend on gas, just for the month.
Yeah.
I guess in their defense, this wasn't supposed to get so out of hand, right? It was supposed to be a very easy transaction. Roy Scheider was not supposed to fight back. So in a way, they put very little effort. They already had the girls, they already had the cameras. So they just recorded him being unfaithful, and should have been just an easy, tape for money kind of scenario. But Roy Scheider got a Roy Scheider. He's not going to let them take him for a ride.
His mistress. I mean, he's got Anne Margaret at home, so you got to consider what you're doing here. And he went significantly younger. We learn that his marriage has been in effect for 23 years, and the woman he cheats on his wife with, his mistress, is actually 22, played by a young Kelly Preston. Julio, a little bit surprising to see her in this context.
I am even more surprised to find out that was Kelly Preston. I saw her name in the opening credits, and I said, oh, cool. Let's see when she shows up. Completely forgot about it. And then I didn't recognize her when she came up, because when you first see her, it's in grainy home video. And then, when we see her later in the movie, she's in pretty bad shape. So, man, I didn't recognize her. And that absolutely takes my guesses of who the porn star is down by half, because I thought maybe this could have been it.
No, sir. No Kelly Preston.
She would go on to become a much better actress, because this has to be really, really early work for her.
Yeah. I'm trying to see here. Her first credits are in 1983. So yeah, this is early stuff. But she plays a stripper that has started a side romance with Roy Scheider. But she also has a bit of a drug problem, much like everyone did in the 80s. And
it wasn't a problem. It was a situation.
Unfortunately, we don't get too accustomed to Kelly Preston. She's not around for too long in this one.
She accomplishes the goal of, one, explaining why Roy Scheider would fall for her, but also is what you just said. He is married to Anne Margaret, so technically he shouldn't, he should be content as far as that side of his life is. So when you establish that he's cheating on Anne Margaret, that makes you dislike him. And I think that in order to enjoy this movie, you have to dislike Roy Scheider. You have to. That doesn't mean that you want him to lose necessarily, but I think that this is a lot more fun if you kind of feel like Roy Scheider has it coming to him. Like everything that happens to him, you're like, well, yeah, that's why you don't cheat on your wife, and that's why you don't make dumb decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Were you Team Scheider for a while, or were you like me, kind of, whatever happens to this guy, he deserves it?
Not that far, because I would say I wouldn't go he deserves all of it, because he's obviously fucked up and violated the trust of his wife. But at the same time, some of the consequences that are being hung over his head here are a bit intense for just an affair. I did, though, say boo Roy Scheider when he does the thing of being ridden with guilt, so he confesses it to Anne Margaret, and she does kind of like what a normal person would do. Is like, what do you want me to do with this information? Do you feel better now?
That's one of the best scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
She destroys him. He comes in and he's trying to somehow both confess but also maintain the moral high ground, and she's not having any of it. And then she ends the conversation. She's like, I'm leaving this room. So that was great. Before he does that, though, because he goes through a first round of, I'm going to talk to my lawyer before I talk to my wife about this.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, real man shit there, man,
What? Like talking while they're at the construction site?
Yeah, just like, hey, here's the deal. So I got some hot stuff coming down the pipe here.
How can I protect myself?
The heat's on, brother.
Yeah. So when he's talking to the lawyer, that was another moment where I'm like, fuck you, Roy Scheider, because he's talking about it in such a condescending way when it comes to his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it, it's two bros talking, but still, he says something like, she helped me build this, his construction empire. And now that she's finally doing one thing for herself, I can't take it away from her, because his excuse not to go to the police is that if he goes to the police, it's going to create a scandal. And because she's running for councilwoman right now, then that would affect her campaign and so on, whatever. I think that by the end of the movie, we can all agree that he should have just gone to the police.
Yes.
Everybody would be much happier. But just the way that he was talking about it, like he was doing her a favor by not telling her that he cheated on her, that he fucked up and that he was getting blackmailed. I was like, how about you just say, I fucked up?
Mm-hmm.
Stop trying to embellish. I was not a fan of the Roy Scheider character, which is an accomplishment on his part as an actor, because I think generally when Roy Scheider shows up in a movie, see Marathon Man recently, I geek out. Like, hey, there he is. He's a badass. He's in great shape. He's also in good shape here. Did you see him doing laps in the pool?
Yeah, he's not quite as lean here as in Marathon Man, but he's definitely, we get the beginning of the movie, we get to see him swimming laps again, and Anne Margaret is just drooling at this soaking wet Roy Scheider dabbing himself off. This movie, there's no subtlety, Julio, and I think that's like the perfect beginning here is, all right, this movie is literally dripping in sex appeal.
Were you disappointed, though, that we didn't get Scheider ass? Was it the VHS tape where he's having sex or about to have sex?
I mean, to be fair, Julio, I think there is no lack of nudity in this, so I'll just have to learn to accept that Roy Scheider didn't show the goods.
But even so, especially because there's no lack of nudity in this movie, you would think that everybody would be fair game.
He's too pure. We get an actual shot at Dodger Stadium, too, in this next sequence. Harry refuses to cave to the blackmailer's demands. He gives him an envelope full of fake money at Dodger Stadium. I just thought it was funny that I don't know if the actual shots of the seats were inside Dodger Stadium, but clearly that shot of them leaving with the money is. I've been in that parking lot before, so that just tickled me. Not that that's exclusive to me. There's a lot of people that have. It's just, I don't know if you remember, I told you when I went there, they had this section of like events and movies that have been filmed there, and they had a big like poster for The Sandlot because the closing of that movie happens at Dodger Stadium. I don't remember a 52 pickup poster. I'll just say that.
And you would, because if you had seen that poster with Roy Scheider,
oh yeah,
with the gun and the Pierce Brosnan and Goldeneye, that's the pose.
Give me your number or your card.
I ran out of cards.
Harry initially refuses to cave to the blackmailer's demands. The lead blackmailer, not Ted Danson, breaks into Harry's house, stealing his gun and some clothing.
John Glover. Come on. Are you telling me you did not recognize Mr. Clamp from Gremlins 2?
I know John Glover. It's just the particular hairstyle in this, and keep expecting for him to, hit on Shelley Long at certain parts of this.
Ted Danson, as sleazy as he was in Cheers, was never on the level.
Dude, John Glover is a really, really good bad guy in this movie. Early
contender for the Embry. I agree.
There's actually a sprinkling of contenders, IMO, and we'll get to them momentarily. Lead blackmailer breaks into Harry's house, steals his gun and clothing. Later, the trio kidnap Harry and force him to watch a video of Cinny being murdered with his stolen gun. They demand $105,000 a year for the rest of Harry's life in exchange for their silence. Harry, however, vows revenge. Pretty fucked up scene. I mean, this movie, up until this point, it's painted itself as it's going to be like this tawdry thriller, but what they do, and it's not like a short clip, like they sit him down and force him. The cinematography is incredible too, because you can see his reflection in the monitor while he's watching it. And it's just this long sequence of Kelly Preston being tied to a chair, and then they rip her top off so she's topless. And then they put this board in front of her, like in front of her chest, and then they rig up his gun to keep his fingerprints on it, and they basically have a string, so when they pull it, it goes off so none of them have to touch it. And they shoot her like fucking 5 times. And then the big reveal is once they leave, you learn that he's sitting in the seat she was killed in, because he looks down and there's all this blood everywhere. I said out loud, Julio, I was like, holy shit, this is pretty fucked up.
And that hit you especially hard because you knew it was Kelly Preston. I was just like, oh, poor aspiring girl got killed. I didn't know it was her. Why the boards? I appreciate the flair, but I didn't understand why they put the boards on her in front of her before shooting her.
Well, she was topless, so my guess would be to limit splatter and stuff like that.
Man, see, you're more well versed in true crime than I am. It never would have occurred to me. I just thought that it was the way that I justify it was like, oh, they just want to fuck with Roy Scheider's head, so they're putting the boards there to maybe give him hope that she would survive the 5 shots.
And for the sake of framing him, you could also argue or like come up with the idea that the ballistics of the bullet holes match the gun that he has and that board. Maybe they just wanted to have everything they could, just in case the cops didn't feel they had enough evidence.
That's true, because they also have his jacket, is it? That they
with his name on it? Yeah.
With his name on it. What does Colin Farrell say in a report? There's an orgy of evidence.
It reminded me of that 30 Rock where Kenneth says he's wearing his grandfather's suit and he opens it up like that and the little fucking embroidery says DB Cooper.
It's a great joke. The way that they get the gun and the jacket, and I think something else from him, is also another great scene. It's
terrifying.
Yeah, the first face-off between Aunt Margaret and John Glover, and he is. I think that was the first time, because before that you see them, but they have the masks on, and you can't really appreciate what's going on. But it's John Glover just unmasked, just pretending to be an accountant or something, and he's just broken into the house, and he has this very tense conversation with Aunt Margaret, and then I'm like, man, he really does sound like an Elmore Leonard villain.
Mm-hmm.
And from then on, I think once we saw them, every time we saw the villains interact with each other or with other people, I was like, yes, that's really what makes an Elmore Leonard story pop, and that's why you have to get right if you're gonna adapt it into a movie. Is you have to cast the villains very well, and you have to maintain that dialogue, the way that they talk, and how, as we see in this movie, and we see in most Elmore Leonard adaptations that are good, the villains are always really scary, really violent, but also they take turns being really dumb and making mistakes. And so it's not like they have the upper hand always. They have the upper hand, and then sometimes they fumble, and then the hero can take over for a little bit, but they never stop being a threat. And again, if you go back to something like Get Shorty, even Be Cool, which is not great, but the villains are always the main attraction. And so That was, as soon as I saw John Glover being a fucking creep in that living room, it's like, yes, there he is. There's the Elmore Leonard element. Of course, this makes a great argument to, if you're going to have a gun, keep it in a safe. Don't put it in your underwear drawer.
Yeah, for real. Or just someplace not obvious. Mm-hmm.
Right. When Roy Scheider finally goes back home,
he opens the drawer and there's the outline of a gun, it was right on top of his clothing. He's like, damn it, he found it.
He looks like shit, by the way.
Oh yeah, he's falling apart here.
That was impressive because he looked so good at the beginning of the movie. I have to ask you though, is Roy Scheider wearing a toupee in this movie? Or is that really his hair?
Some of those close-ups and especially in those split diopter shots, I would be inclined to think you might be onto something, but I don't know. He seems like a man with too much pride. He took down Jaws twice, for crying out loud.
I mean, I'm not gonna toupee shame anybody, but I was just, because he's much older here than we've seen him in other movies. And he had so much hair. It started making me self-conscious. And then there's that shot right after they show him the video where Kelly Preston dies, where he's just driving like a maniac, just going in the middle of the lanes. You know what I'm talking about? It's You see a point of view from the car, and then you get the shots of him driving, and his hair is going all over the place. And I was like, is it gonna fly away? How many ruined shots because the toupee was not appropriately fastened? But maybe that's his real hair. Somebody who's Roy Scheider's biographer, reach out, let us know.
You want to play Let's Pretend, or should I just give you the money?
Using deduction and his business contacts, Harry tracks down and confronts Alan Ramey, the leader of the blackmailers and amateur adult filmmaker. Knowing he has a background in accounting, Harry shows Ramey his financial records, which indicate that the majority of his wealth is illiquid, making him unable to afford the ransom. Harry offers Ramey $52,000 in cash as an initial payment instead, which Ramey accepts. A few things we need to put together here.
First of all, do you think that Alan Ramey is trying to emulate his older brother, Sam Ramey?
Well, he's in front of the camera, so...
Well, he's behind the camera. He's trying to be a serious
That's
filmmaker.
True. Yeah, what if that's a take on Sam Ramey? Would,
God.
Would Army of Darkness or Evil Dead would have come out already? Evil Dead was 1981, so yes. Fucking Frankenheimer's just like, this is pornography. But we'll get to the other blackmailers here in just a minute. We've got our next plot point. But yeah, this Ramey fella, did you notice he's working? We get a projection booth scene in this, Julio. He's working the projection booth at the porn theater.
More perplexingly, Alex, we get a shot of the concession stand at the porno theater. Who's buying that popcorn?
Need a Sprite for a quick tug at the movies, you know?
The girl that's working the concession stand, she doesn't even try to upsell or anything. She's just like $5. Maybe it's $5 just includes everything.
It's a all-encompassing package deal, pun intended.
Yeah, you can get the season pass, and then it's just $5 a month.
So our introduction to Ramey here, and as well as the other two blackmailers, and also this is when Kelly Preston's still alive because we learn of her friend Doreen, who we're about to talk about in just a moment. The reveal is this very much 80s style party where there's a lot of cocaine, a lot of nudity, for some reason some beef jerky. Julio, for this one, there isn't necessarily a starring role that is populated by a pornographic actor or actress, but this party scene is riddled with a who's who of the industry, including several Hall of Famers in the AVN Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. Ron Jeremy is the first one that we see, but we don't need to talk about him any more than that. But the cast we see at the party, Randy West and Tom Byron, who are two famous white men of the sex film industry, and Amber Lynn, Sharon Mitchell also have appearances in this. Amber Lynn's the one that says, "You want to see my tits? Say please," and then just shows her boobs.
That's funny because I was watching this sequence trying to figure out who was the porn star. Turns out everybody was the porn star. It was like the opening of The Player, but for the porn industry.
You would have had a better shot of naming who wasn't in porn in this party sequence. So we'll talk a little bit more about the cameos, if you will, and what I was able to find in terms of research and reminiscing in Real Talk. But moving along here, we do have our other two blackmailers that we learned their names here from Doreen. Again, Doreen is the friend of Cindy, of Kelly Preston, and Doreen was played by Vanity. Julio, tell me what you know about Vanity.
I know that I saw her name on the opening credits, and I said, that has to be the porn star. And then it was just a matter of guessing, and because it was not Kelly Preston, then now I know for a fact it has to be, this girl. What's her name again?
Doreen,
yes, because I was thinking of the whitest kids in town. And it's like, Doreen.
Sick reference, brother.
Okay, if this is her, then I think that she holds her own. She has scenes with Roy Scheider, Kelly Preston, John Glover, and the guy that plays Bobby. And I think she does fine. That's now two in a row, two adult performers in a row that I think that fit well within the cast of their movies.
Vanity was a type of celebrity that really could have only existed in the 80s. She was singer, songwriter, dancer, model, and actress. I believe that's it. Action Jackson was another movie around this point in time she was in with Carl Weathers, and she was also in The Last Dragon. But this is just a very, I don't want to say blip. That would sound disrespectful, but just kind of a of the moment celebrity in the mid 80s. So when I saw her in the credits, I I was not expecting her to so ferociously share this screen with Roy Scheider, but it's just kind of a funny, like, oh man, that's a timestamp for you.
That party when we meet her and I guess we see Kelly Preston for the first time in the flesh, not on a tape, and we see the other blackmailers unmasked and all that stuff. I guess it really shows, it timestamp us, Alex, not the movie, us.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking Girls Gone Wild, and you probably think the same thing. And I know that we kind of have that same shared space because when Girls Gone Wild was referenced in the Muppets Wizard of Oz, we both went like, oh yeah, we know exactly what that is.
Mm-hmm.
But people today wouldn't. So did you also think that? You're like, that's probably as sleazy, if not maybe, it might have been even sleazier in real life when they were doing those videos.
Yeah, one of the things I was just thinking of that party scene, maybe not necessarily in this movie, but the parties of the like during this time period of the mid 80s, just the smell, it just smelled awful in there because it was what's going on in there covered up with like cheap cologne and perfume. It just,
yeah,
it's got to be horrid. And you have this fucker who's just whipping beef jerky around his head too. So you get the smell of Jack Links over all of that.
Okay, so we have Leo and Bobby in addition to Alan.
So Doreen, a stripper who was friends with Cindy, through her, Harry learns the names of the other blackmailers. The sociopathic Bobby Shy, which I don't know much about sociopathic. He's just fucking crazy. He's a psycho. And the cowardly Leo. Both Robert Lee Shy here, Clarence Williams III, and Leo Franks, played by Robert Trebor. I think I have two leading contenders for the supporting actor Embry with these two.
Is that because you're putting Glover as leading actor?
He would be a leading actor, yes. But man, both these dudes, like Clarence goes for like the crazy, which he hits. So there's a scene coming up with him and Doreen that's really fucking intense. And then we get this whirlwind performance from Robert Trebor, who the only other thing I know him from is The Devil's Rejects. He plays a film critic in that movie that William Forsythe threatens to kill because he disrespects Elvis.
Wow. I mean, he was unfazed by any of Rob Zombie's bullshit. I was like, I'm sorry, I was in 50 to pick up.
And Rob Zombie's weird ass, like that's where he saw this movie when he was a teenager and just was waiting to cast Robert Trebor. It always stuck with him, and with good cause. Robert Trebor is tremendous in this. He's just coked out and he's just constantly scared, and he's sweating and crying and offering beef jerky, and he like sells people out at the drop of a hat and breaks very easily.
You don't want Doreen. Hey, Lori. Yeah, come in here. Lori's got some goodies. Huh? I'm telling you, there's nice goodies here.
So John Glover, he's a projectionist / manager at the porno theater. Leo, he runs a sort of it's not a club. It's like a peeping Tom business, like where they go in Paris, Texas, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And then Bobby, we don't know. Bobby just kills people, maybe?
He was in prison. We know that recently because at one point Glover remarks like, you would think you don't want to go back or something like that. And then we learn later in the movie he's just extremely violent, that he, as a juvenile, bashed his stepdad or step-uncle's head in and got 3 years in juvie for it. And he's a very sweaty man throughout this movie, and at the drop of a hat will choose violence overall.
On my note, especially when he was introduced, before he went absolutely nuts, I was like, oh, this would be the role that maybe a few years later, in the 90s, Samuel L. Jackson would play the role. And then today, you would get Coleman Domingo to play him. And I think that once a generation, you get like the part of the violent but very hypnotic black criminal that really puts the whiteys that are working with him to shame.
Yeah.
I think that's what Bobby does here. It's kind of surprising that he's not the one that outlasts everybody else. But I guess he's just so unpredictable, so impulsive that John Glover outsmarts him at the end. But still, excellent combination of villains. Again, going back to that Elmore Leonard flavor, just you have the violent one, You have the verbose, really quirky one, and then you have the one that's kind of comic relief, but at the end, all three of them are pieces of shit.
Mm-hmm. I forgot to call out one of many split diopter shots in this movie is when we first see Doreen as Roy Scheider's inquiring about the women working at the club, and you see her in the background and realize who it is and try to get away. Let's see here. So he makes this being Harry, Roy Scheider, makes Raimi suspicious by suggesting Leo gave up his name. Bobby, realizing the truth, violently interrogates Doreen. This is what I was talking about. He suffocates her with this giant teddy bear intermittently, and then will lift it up and say, "What'd you tell him?" You know, and just is trying to force it. It's literally torturing her to try to get information. To her credit, though, she holds tough.
Yeah, she doesn't break. I thought it was amazing that they actually set up the giant teddy bear in a previous scene.
Chekhov's teddy bear?
Yeah, Chekhov's teddy bear. When Scheider is there to try to get her to give him information, which he accomplishes by using the universal language of money. Yeah, the teddy bear is there. She's actually hugging the teddy bear. And so when Bobby shows up, she's sleeping and he's calling out for her. And we see him clog the teddy bear, and then he grabs the teddy bear and he's carrying the teddy bear around. My first thought was, oh, did he just realize that teddy bear was not there before? There was Roy Scheider. On top of giving her a lot of money, he also bought her a giant teddy bear. Now Bobby's suspicious. He's like, where'd this come from? But no, I guess she had it already. Yeah, that scene is brutal, dude. And it's a different register, I think, of acting when you have to pretend that you're being killed and repeatedly, because he suffocates her 2-3 times. And every time he removes the teddy bear, I mean, she looks fucked. And I don't know that I could do that and not look silly. But here, it's just because whatever she portrays, it has to match the intensity of what he's doing. And he is going for it. So, yeah, it's pretty disturbing, and it works.
I don't know nothing to tell him.
You know me? You know the people I know?
He was only here for 5 minutes.
Or did he come to buy? Or did he come to talk?
By the way, how did you feel when the title finally made sense? Were you, like me, wondering what the fuck 52 pickup meant? If it was like a pickup truck, maybe?
Well, I know what 52 pickup means, generally speaking. The trick you play on someone where you throw a deck of cards and say 52 pickup. And are you familiar with that, Julio?
No.
Okay. 52 cards in a deck. It's a trick you get, you know, that your grandpa will play on you when you're a kid. Like, hey, you want to play a game? 52 pickup. And, you know, drop the cards. So I thought like his life was a house of cards that was like falling apart. That was it. But then it became that the pickup was going to be $52,000.
A lot more specific.
Yes. Violently interrogates Doreen, who manages to convince Bobby she did not give up the plan. That night, Bobby breaks into the Mitchell house and tries to kill Harry, but Harry and Barbara overpower him. Harry realizes Raimi did not tell his accomplices about the $52,000 offer and reveals it to Bobby before allowing him to leave. Afterwards, Bobby angrily confronts Raimi and demands half of Harry's offer. We get a couple jump scares, Julio. It's at the house. It's the middle of the night. It's dark. Anne Margaret's looking around the corner. Roy Scheider jumps out because he's staying in the den, and he says, there's someone in the house. And then in a bout of very bad luck, he takes her to the hallway closet and goes, wait in here. And then when Bobby jumps out with a coat hanger.
It was very, very nice of Anne Margaret to grab a flashlight and keep the light on the two men fighting so that we could also see the fight. It was like, use a flashlight to hit him in the head, and she finally did. So.
Yes, she's very cinematic at heart, but yeah, eventually.
Yes. She was trying to make sure that we had enough light for the split diopter at some point. How much of a badass do you have to be to look at the guy that was trying to kill you 5 minutes ago and then hand him his gun back? Is Roy Scheider an idiot, or is he just an absolute alpha here?
Oh, he is definitely the alpha. You can tell that Bobby's intimidated by him because he beats his ass and then he has him sat down. He pours him a drink.
Yeah, that's right.
Takes a picture of him to make sure he has that on retainer, much like he did with Leo. It's a very tense scene, but it's pretty badass. And you can tell, I think it's the one time in the whole movie Bobby smiles because he's kind of just like this crazy motherfucker. And, but also because he's insane. You can tell part of it is he knows he's going to go get his revenge on Raimi at this point.
Yeah, Raimi, through the gift of the gab, somehow manages to put it all on Leo, though. I laughed. I was like, that guy doesn't stand a chance.
Exactly, because he's not built for this life. As Roy Scheider, Harry confronts Leo in a bar, and Leo, cracking under the pressure, confesses everything to Harry, saying he never wanted to hurt Cindy and that both her body and the videotape have been disposed of. He also warns that Raimi and Bobby intend to kill him and Barbara after the payment is made. He literally just squeals like everything with no real pressure put on him. You can tell he's just been doing too much coke. And then he goes back and we kind of learn in a throwaway moment, the young man who works at his club or his establishment, it appears as though they're lovers, and he's getting ready to take him with him as they skip town. But too little too late as Bobby confronts Leo, who's planning on leaving, and ends up killing him and his lover, implied lover. Meanwhile, Raimi kidnaps Barbara as collateral and ends up drugging and assaulting her in a motel. He then lures Bobby and Doreen to a warehouse and kills both of them before going to meet Harry, who has agreed to exchange the money for Barbara. Buckle up, because the ending of this movie is incredible.
Well, the cast is dropping like flies.
Yeah. And this is where I kind of wiggled my mouse to see how much time was left in the movie, and it was 6 minutes, and I was like, what? Yeah, Bobby very unceremoniously gets shot and picked off, and then Vanity, Doreen, to her credit, attempts to fight back and in a last act of defiance attempts to run over Raimi with her car, but is shot and killed. At the exchange, Harry warns Raimi that if anything happens to them, his lawyer will send Raimi's fingerprints from the financial records to the police. Raimi had previously expressed interest in one of Harry's sports cars, a 65 Jaguar E-Type OTS. So Harry offers it as a getaway vehicle. Unknown to Raimi, the car has been rigged with a bomb. When Raimi starts the car, the doors lock, trapping him inside before the bomb explodes, killing him as Harry and Barbara walk away. So this isn't doing it justice. The doors lock. It's inescapable. He turns on the radio, and it's a recording of Roy Scheider saying, what's his name? Alan. Hello, Alan. Welcome to the last 10 seconds of your life. And then it starts playing that patriotic anthem. Well, this for 10 seconds, John Glover is just freaking the fuck out, and then is eventually blown up. And then we get this real slow pan out of this crane shot of fucking Roy Scheider and Anne Margaret walking away. Outstanding piece of business here to take us home.
So did you expect the car to explode, or... Because I know early in the movie, and of course, this is not something that we focus on. So like me, I was like, I know that they talk about Roy Scheider having the patent for this sort of special process that has to do with metal. You know what I'm talking about? And they even have the lawyer scoop up a powder or something. So when...
Yeah, is it ever expressly stated what Roy Scheider does? Like
he works in construction, but his money comes from that patent, I think.
Yeah.
But what the patent does, like what he invented, I wasn't clear on. And then the movie never references it again. So I was like, all right, I guess it doesn't matter. But then at the end, when the car locks up, I was like, oh, is this going to have to do with the thing that he invented? I was like, is it something to melt metal together, to combine metal? And honestly, dude, and now it sounds really stupid because I know what really happens, but before that car exploded, I thought, oh shit, is the car going to melt with John Glover inside? Which would have been amazing. Just John Glover like the T-1000 and T-2 just trying to come out of the molten lava.
Melting like the fucking Toxic Avenger.
Yes, yeah. Comes out like the guy in RoboCop that falls into the acid. He's just like walking and falling apart. Yeah, didn't happen. But still, they do set it up. I mean, we see him working on the car, and I guess he had figured out from way back then, like halfway through the movie, that that's how he was going to get them? Or do you think he was really working on the spark plugs when Anne Margaret walked in and yelled at him for not being more upset or more scared that those people were trying to kill them?
What are you doing? We are dealing with murderers! Scum! We should be in a police station, and here you are changing your plugs?
I did find it a bit odd that he was just taking some time to work on his fucking sports car in the midst of all this. So I think at the time it was a bit of a red herring of just, this is how the man relieves his stress, is working on his car. But, you know. Paid off in the end.
It's a pretty satisfying thing. I was not clear on what happened to the money. Were the $52,000 in the car?
I would hope not. I would hope it was the same thing where it was like the fake money like he handed off at the Dodgers game because Alan did the I trust you, didn't check. Because they didn't check the first time either. Remember? They were like halfway down the road when they opened up the envelope and it was just folded
right, but that's
money.
why you
or
would
folded
think
paper, excuse me.
You would expect them to check again, to check now.
The hubris of man, brother. I don't know what to tell you.
Once again, Roy Scheider, brass balls. Why not?
Big time, dude. Yeah. Just big dick swinging.
What does the police make of all of this when they finally show up? It's not like Roy Scheider stays to make a statement or anything. He just walks away from this crime scene. I just can't imagine that the poor detective that is tasked with having to pick up the pieces and just follow the thread to all these different locations and deaths. And I wonder if anybody ever learns the truth. I guess the lawyer, Scheider's lawyer, knows what happened. So I don't know. Do you think that they
protecting his client? Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. And so then, that's right. Because maybe they still have to protect the election. And Margaret never withdrew from the election.
That's what should have happened. After they got away, it should have faded to black, and then it fades in at her victory speech, and then the credits roll over that.
Yes, yeah. The opponent, no, it's a fake out because Frankenheimer can't, help himself. So it's a fake out with the opponent. But it turns out the opponent is giving the concession speech. Then we cut to Ed Margaret celebrating. But Roy Scheider's still sleeping in the den because some things you just don't forget.
All right, Julio. It's a roller coaster of sex, lies, deceit,
videotape,
rock and roll, cocaine, beef jerky,
porno popcorn.
Yes, porn and popcorn. There we go. I love it. I'm genuinely curious how you feel about this movie because I feel like this could be one of those that I feel this could be a repeat of Ricochet, so I'm pretty anxious to get to real talk.
No. Okay, before we even jump into real talk. I mean, I can see why you would say that, but at the same time, these movies, Ricochet and 52 Pickup, I feel like they exist in different universes. Elmore Leonard, man, he didn't write Ricochet. So
you don't say.
Yeah. Let's go to real talk.